fewer roadblocks there.
Yeah, I find there are almost like two schools of thought when it comes to implementing technical SEO recommendations from the SEO ourselves. One is you have to be very prescriptive and say exactly what you want and what you want the developer to do. The other approach is to show the problem and to work with the developer to find the best solution with the assumption that they will have the answer rather than you. And what I'm finding is that we're, as an industry, those two approaches, I think the former tends to be the approach a lot of agencies use, especially those agencies that consider themselves to be technical SEO agencies. Because I'm finding that agencies will hire a tech SEO person who ideally has a developer background or knows a lot about development or is interested in development, because all they do is service technical SEO related stuff, right? They don't venture into content, which I think is a mistake, but that's another topic. Uh, so they focus more on technical elements of web development. Essentially, they're borderline web developers, and so their recommendations are very prescriptive, down to the wire, down to the letter, or whatever the phrase is. And I find a lot of developers do not like that approach. The developers I've certainly worked with do not like that approach because it's essentially telling them exactly what needs to be done and, in a sense, undermining their work. And it's funny you mentioned an episode I had with Patrick. I have another one coming up soon with a developer. So I have a working with I have talks with SEOs and working with SEOs where I speak with non-SEOs about SEO. And I want to get this developer's take on it because I have a suspicion that they would prefer to work with SEOs in a cohesive manner, but it's the way we present ourselves. We do it in a very undermining aspect. And I think we had a similar situation with copywriters very early on. We didn't have this good relationship as we have now. Very early on, we had pushbacks. I mean, we tell a copywriter, you need to include these keywords within your copy and say where it needs to be. And they would push back saying, what you're recommending doesn't make sense. It's not grammatically correct. And we had this battle and we're all now fine with them. I find the same sort of pushback we have, or the same sort of dynamics we had with copywriters, we're having with developers. Do you find that it's better to be prescriptive or to be more collaborative with developers?
I think
Or
a
does
lot
it
of the
depend?
time you're limited to, yeah, I'm going to give the classic answer of it depends. I think it depends on what you are almost given access to. Like, I think anybody who is writing a technical ticket would rather do that collaboratively. I mean, two minds are better than one, right? I
Hmm.
love working with Miles because we get to work together. But being agency side and having been in-house as well, there is a difference in the level of access that you get to do that.
Yeah.
Because I think that there's a lot of pressure on agencies to have the answer, and not need a developer to be able to work with them. But I do
Mm.
think it's the better way to go, if you can. But also, some clients don't want you to talk directly to developers or directly to other third parties, for example, which
Mm.
can limit collaboration. But I do understand why they do it if they're being a bit precious of the time that they're using in their retainer. Um, so if you're in-house, it is a little bit different because you can just email them and be like, "Hey, what's up? You want to talk about this
Yeah.
ticket? Like,
Yeah.
I need to do something. What do you think?" Like, it's a lot easier. You're much more free to be able to do that. And who doesn't like being asked what they think? I think
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
always nice, right?
Yeah.
Uh, um, I saw years ago, I think, or maybe like a couple of years ago, maybe even three, Jamie Indigo was doing some, I think, consulting. She just started consulting. I don't know if she's consulting anymore, but this is when she was consulting. And she linked to, I don't think it was the full slide deck, but she linked to a few slides that she had put together in an audit. And one of the slides said, all of this is created in accepting that you are doing the best job that you can. And none of this comes from the viewpoint that you are not doing your job properly. Like, different people in different capacities have different things that they need to be aware of, different things that they need to do. And that's totally fine. I'm just adding something else to the mix now.
Mm.
So I think that was a really nice approach. I think, I think just thinking of people as other humans with thoughts and feelings is a
Yeah.
pretty good way to go.
Yeah.
As far as you can. I think you can end up in a relationship with a developer that can be quite poor if you have started out saying, hey, can we do this? This is the outcome that I want. But obviously, achieve that any way that you can. And
Mm.
then the outcome isn't what you've actually asked for. And then you have a lot of back and forth. And I think that can lead to obviously not the best relationship. And I think that a lot of the time that poor relationship is placed on the SEO. I don't really know why
Yeah.
that's the case. I guess it's because we're creating the tickets, but it really does go both ways. If something isn't being tested properly, if there isn't a proper QA process set up, and something is done put live without SEO input as well, then it's done incorrectly according to the SEO, and then you have to go back to it. So there are other processes involved, other people involved in the process that can make it a bit more difficult. Like, I don't think it's always the SEO. I think we're always thinking, well, how can we make this better? How can we make it better? But sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's just how it is, and you've got to deal with the situation that you're in
Mm.
any way that you want to deal with it.